Ferrari debuted a fascinating rotating rear wing.
Bahrain, second week of testing. The desert air thick with heat, tension, and secrets. While the world watched the stopwatch, Ferrari was watching something else entirely. Because the fastest lap of the day didn't belong to the man in red. It belonged to Lando Norris. 1 minute, 33 seconds, 4.53 seconds. Clean, clinical, celebrated. But here's what nobody told you.
The wing has fully rotated around.
While McLaren was chasing headlines, Ferrari was quietly rewriting the laws of physics. Was this the moment a 7-time champion finally found his weapon? Or was Ferrari playing the most dangerous game in Formula One history, hiding something so radical, so terrifying that the rest of the paddock still hasn't recovered? Stay with me, because this story doesn't start on the timing sheets. It starts with a wing that does something no wing has ever done before. Day 2, morning session. The SF26 rolls out of the Ferrari garage and something immediately looks different. The rear wing. Not different in a subtle, engineers-only kind of way. Different in a way that made rival mechanics physically stop walking and stare. Because when Lewis Hamilton hit the main straight and activated straight line mode, the upper flap didn't just open, it flipped 180 degrees, a complete rotation. The HP logo, proudly displayed on the front of the wing, disappeared underneath, and the IBM logo on the underside rotated to face the sky. Ferrari had built a wing that performs a literal somersault at 200 kilometers per hour. But that was just the start. Because this wasn't just about looking extraordinary. This was engineering with a specific, devastating purpose.
I think everybody is doing innovation. Sometimes it's visible, sometimes it's not. I'm sure that our competitors.
The 2026 regulations brought heavier hybrid systems, more power, more drag, and on the straights, that drag was becoming every team's nightmare. Ferrari's answer? Don't just reduce drag, eliminate it. Stall the entire rear end of the car, including the diffuser, creating a vacuum of aerodynamic resistance that allows the SF26 to reach speeds that should be mathematically impossible under these regulations. The paddock whispered. The notebooks came out. The FIA started gathering data. And then came the second revelation. The pivot point of the wing had been moved, not to the trailing edge where every other team places it, to the center of the flap. This structural decision means rivals cannot simply copy this design mid-season. The composite engineering required to prevent that wing from tearing itself apart at racing speed represents months, possibly years of development. Ferrari wasn't experimenting, they were validating. And this is where the story gets truly dark. When Hamilton's car was wheeled back into the garage after just 5 laps, the rumors ignited instantly. Engine failure, reliability crisis, red flag on Ferrari's entire 2026 project. But that wasn't the truth. Ferrari's mechanics weren't scrambling, they were methodical, calm, operating under a pre-planned schedule. The team had removed the suspension arms on the gearbox side, not because something broke, but to gather end-of-life data on components that had already covered enormous distances during the Barcelona shakedown. 5 laps of groundbreaking aerodynamic data, over 70 laps of conventional mileage. That was the trade Ferrari made, deliberately, confidently. And when Hamilton returned for start practice at the end of the session, the car looked planted, stable, alive in a way that made engineers from other teams shift uncomfortably in their chairs. Because here's the twist nobody expected. While Norris topped the charts, Ferrari had spent 3 hours performing surgery on a car they already believed was the fastest thing on the grid. They weren't behind, they were simply operating on a different timeline than everyone else. But the wing is only half the story. The other half wears red and carries 7 world championships on his shoulders. Lewis Hamilton didn't arrive at Ferrari as a passenger, he arrived as an architect. 10 grueling months in the simulator, not learning the car, shaping it, molding the SF26's characteristics around his late-breaking, aggressive entry style. Hamilton said it himself, and these words matter. This car has his DNA in it. That is not a quote for cameras, that is a confession of authorship. When Hamilton spoke about the complexity of this generation of car, about finding the tire window, about the narrow operating conditions, he wasn't complaining, he was diagnosing. And by the second week of Bahrain testing, he had already moved past diagnosis. He was in the optimization phase. In his long runs, something emerged that no single lap time can capture: stability, rhythm, tire management sustained through thermal degradation, in Bahrain, on abrasive asphalt, in rising temperatures. Hamilton wasn't just keeping pace, he was extending the operating window of the SF26 beyond what the car had previously shown. He spoke of good discoveries, clear areas of improvement identified before the next test. That phrase, discoveries, changes everything, because drivers in adaptation mode survive. Drivers in discovery mode evolve the machine around them. And Ferrari's internal correlation data confirmed what the track was showing. Wind tunnel, simulator, reality, all three aligned. For the first time in years, Ferrari's tools were telling the same story. The ripple effects were immediate, and they were felt in every garage on the grid. Inside rival teams, the questions started spreading, quietly, urgently. Why was Ferrari's acceleration out of slow corners so clean? Why was there no visible energy clipping on the main straight? Why did their long-run pace not collapse the way it had in previous seasons? These weren't casual observations, these were engineering alarm bells. Ferrari had accumulated approximately 1,100 power unit laps between the official team and customer cars across Bahrain testing. 6,000 kilometers, without relevant failures. In an era where the hybrid component carries more weight than ever before, that reliability number isn't a footnote, it's a foundation. And there are whispers, dangerous whispers, of a possible 15% advantage in usable energy from Ferrari's ERS unit compared to rival systems at this stage of development. 15%. If even partially accurate, that number doesn't just shift the competitive order, it destroys it. For the championship, the implications are seismic. Red Bull's Verstappen sits just 0.131 seconds behind Norris on the timing sheets, but neither team showed anything resembling what Ferrari quietly demonstrated. Mercedes chased reliability. Red Bull played their cards close. Ferrari flipped their wing and showed the paddock a glimpse of 2030. The future risk? The FIA is watching. Clarifications are coming, and Ferrari's legal team has clearly anticipated every move. Scenario 1. The flip wing survives FIA scrutiny. Hamilton finds the final 2/10 on a Saturday in Melbourne, and for the first time in over a decade, the prancing horse leads from the front. Scenario 2. A technical directive lands before Australia. Ferrari scrambles to adapt, but the damage is already done, because the aerodynamic philosophy behind that wing doesn't disappear with a clarification. It evolves, and Ferrari's development trajectory, already ahead, accelerates further. Scenario 3. Every rival team spends the next 3 months trying to understand what Ferrari built in secret. And while they're looking backward, Maranello is already building something new. Because that's what happens when a team stops reacting and starts dictating. Dynasties don't fall from a single blow. They fall the moment their rivals finally understand what they were fighting. Has Ferrari already solved the biggest technical puzzle of the 2026 era before the season even begins? Or is what we saw in Bahrain merely the visible surface of something far deeper, far more dangerous, still hidden beneath the desert sun? One thing is certain, when the lights go out in Melbourne, this won't just be a race about pace. It will be about who built the future and who's still trying to understand the present. So tell me, is this the beginning of the red era? Or is Ferrari's greatest move still yet to come?